Welcome back everyone. The reason why I'm in like full on dirty Eskimo mode, Eskimo, is because, well, dirty because the dirt's engraved in this jacket because it's 3 winters old now. It does get washed out because I am hygienic. But the reason for the fact I look like an Eskimo at the moment is because it's currently like very wet outside, and I think we even have either a yellow weather warning, so this might be the last video I make because I might get washed away by the end of the day. But I've just given everybody breakfast, so they're all scrolling that. I'll show you all them now, and then I will deposit them in their turnouts where they can stand around in the rain and look miserable and eat hay. I don't like them looking miserable, none of us do. However, we need to muck out their boxes, so they need to be out of them for that. And plus, even though it's wet outside, it's good for them to go outside and stretch their legs a little bit. And also, everyone looks miserable in the rain. It's not just these guys, yeah? Okay, so here we have Annie. I think she's still eating. Don't know. Anne, have you finished? Have you finished, Angel? Oh yeah, she has finished. She's just looking out the bowl. Yeah, Annie had a groom last night. I also put some field paste in her feet. I'll just show you what this is here. Purely because Annie has a tendency to get thrush in her feet, which is like a bacterial infection. So her feet go quite smelly and gross if we don't keep on top of them. So it's just even more important that we keep on top of keeping her feet picked out and putting that stuff in there from time to time. And providing we do that, her feet remain odor-free. And then here we have old man Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's still eating his tea, because breakfast even, because he has a bigger feed and he also has a tiny mouth, therefore it takes longer. Here we have Hannes. I think he's probably the quickest eater we have on site. Isn't that right, little man? Yes, yes. Although he hasn't done his pie trick, which is normally where he throws his bowl over the door this morning. It's obviously, you know, the weather, the mood, it's got to him, it's affecting him. Doesn't look too bad at the moment. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I don't like it. So yeah, go and chuck everybody outside. And in a minute, Tracey will be out as well to make us coffee, obviously. Because first thing in the morning, it sort of varies. Normally it's Tracey out first thing and feeding them. Other times I get in before she gets out, purely because obviously Tracey has a child, like a human child to sort out. A human child who can be quite hard work, might I add. He doesn't make life easy. If you're watching this, Bailey, yes, I mean to insult you. And obviously I don't have human children of my own, not yet anyway. I'm not popping them out till I'm 28. The reason for that is when I'm 28 is because I need to have them within Xiaoqi's lifetime. And Xiaoqi at the moment she's 9, so she'll be 10 this year. And I'm 18 this year, so when I'm 28, that's 10. No, that actually I might have to have them when I'm 27. Okay, I'll maths that later. I just need to have them in her lifetime. I'm popping out 4, by the way. And I'm calling one of the girls double barrel Noche Xiaoqi, after Xiaoqi even, and Noche, who was one of our previous sanctuary residents that came here with Micah. She was my first project pony, my baby. And then I'm calling one of the boys, yeah, because I want an even split, 2 boys, 2 girls. Calling one of the boys Wouter, after a stallion we used to have as well, who Doutson's half brother actually. And the reason why I'd want to name my son after him is because Wouter, personality wise, absolute gent, looks wise, beautiful. He was also very athletic, he was kind as well, so you know, perfect male basically. He's also Hannes. I'm not going to name a kid after Hannes. As much as I love Hannes, I don't want my kids to have anger issues over food. So, although Hannes would be quite a cute name for a baby, so maybe I will. But yeah, suggestions for baby names that I'll have when I'm like 20, either 28 or 27, pop them, you know, in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Isn't that right, Anne? Oh, Annie's actually impatient to get out in the rain purely because she knows there's hay outside. So I better crack on with that, otherwise she might get raged. Isn't that right, handsome? You're gonna get raged too? Yes. And old man Obi's still eating with his tiny little mouth. Obi!
You do lots of videos of me with coffee, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It is my main job of the morning after the horses are fed.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like me to say why we're doing, or why you're doing what you're doing today? No.
What am I doing today?
You're just doing the basics because it's really, really miserable outside.
I'm going to send you packing into the office because
No, you're not sick of me. You just like telling everyone that you're sick of me. You love me really, and I know you do. So I'm going to be, I'll go back in the office to try and do more updates on the website and get all organised for the rest of the year. But I have to say, I am really excited about our beach walking that we're doing.
Oh yeah, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, that will be really nice because it's a full day here. Just meeting all the horses. Oh, Obi wants to be in the video.
He does.
Meeting all the horses.
He said he's more interested in you.
Yeah, if you put on some weight and some condition, you can go to the beach one day for a nice little walk around. Yeah.
Right now, I don't know if he'd push himself up the ramp in the lorry.
Oh, I think he would because he's got a lot of natural energy. I think one of the reasons he's probably so slim is that he's a very active little horse. I don't know whether this is going to be working because you were talking and maybe I don't hear you as well.
Well, I'm quite close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to drink my coffee and then abandon you out here to get wet and soggy all day. I'm really sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking about how sometimes feeding, most of the time you feed, but sometimes I feed because you have a real life child to sort out.
I do have a two-legged child to sort out as well.
And then I was saying that obviously I don't have that yet, but I'm going to pop out 4 when I'm 28 or 27.
Have you also given the name of them?
Yeah, so we've got little, well, I've already explained this, but Norczyziałkie if it's a girl, Wouter if it's a boy.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other two, I don't know yet. I've asked people to give me names in the comments below.
Okay.
And are you going to be free childcare?
Of course I will.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, sorry. There you go. I don't really know what I'm doing.
You might be busy because I think Bailey's going to pop out at least 7.
Yeah.
Like, pop out. Well, Bailey isn't personally going to pop. Well, I don't know. He might do. Who knows?
He would love to. He said to me the other day that he would love to have babies himself. But no, he does. I was about to say he loves children, but actually he doesn't love children, but he likes the idea of having lots of children.
He's like the least child-friendly child I know. Yeah. The amount of times he comes back from school slagging off like the poor little 6-year-olds, bless him.
No, he just... I think it's because he's always lived on the farm and he's always had older people around him. So he's had you and Frey.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of adults here. So and to be honest, as a kid, I was much the same. I preferred adult company to child company. Anyway, I'm going to get on with drinking my coffee and
Same.
Carry on with.
I don't want to carry on anymore. I said this might be the last video I do because I might get washed away today. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay, cool. Hello friends. I haven't got a microphone on for this because it's over there and I forgot it and I can't be bothered to walk over there and get it, so I'm just going to speak close to the little microphone hole, which means I can't actually see what I'm filming. Well, I can, but just out the corner of my eye. But basically it's extremely rather very soggy this morning. Out here you can see the mass destruction that Michael Rossthorne is currently causing, but it's fine because he's putting a step in there. And the best news in the entire world, okay, is it's going to make my year before it's even started. He is filling in this hole. Absolutely sensational, because like by filling in the hole, that means that we can push the bale of hay in without it getting stuck, and often it gets stuck and then we have to like push it, and Tracey nearly does her back in because she's an old person. Jodie's like the only one here who's actually strong and physically capable, so it's just not fun. So yeah, filling in the hole is going to change all of our lives. That hole is a home wrecker. Hello everybody. Hello Hannes. Hello Annie. So these two are getting soggy. They're okay out here for the time being. However, they will get fed up fairly quickly, purely because there is water falling from the sky. Over here we have old man Obi, who is spending some quality time alone to reflect on life. He did have Hannes in there yesterday, but today Annie gets Hannes because, you know, we gotta share him around, because, you know, the little man can only be in one place at once. There's only one of him, the Wonder Horse. So yeah, it also means that Obi gets all the hay to himself, which is good. Hopefully he can put some weight on. And down here it's just the same really. I raked up out here yesterday, so it's slightly tidier, but that's about it. I also straightened up the mats over there, but other than that, nothing's changed. I also need to turn off the water before it overflows, because it's expensive to be alive these days. So that is now mucking out completed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to go down to the field, and I'm going to bring in Hida and Rensker, because there are a couple of our OAPs who are currently out in it, and when they're in this 24/7, sometimes when they're a bit older, they could do with at least, you know, just maybe even if it's a few hours in the day, just to have a snooze and a break from it. They can have a feed as well, and it means that if we feed them in the barn, they'll get all of their feed, whereas sometimes when they're out, they swap and change and steal each other's. And it's especially important for Hida in this weather, due to his arthritis, that he gets his bute, which is just an anti-inflammatory. So that's what I'm about to go and do now. We got old man Obi here, who's looking suitably soggy, bless him, although he still seems happy enough outside. Annie's fine because she's got hay. Hannes looks alright at the moment, actually. Oh no, I think he wants in, but he can at least last a couple more hours out there, bless him. Can't you, little man? Yes. Okay, so now we've got Hida in here, who's just currently without a rug at the moment because, sorry, that's a bit close to my mouth, the microphone, it's gone to dry, so he's just tucking into his feed. Got Rensker next door to him. As she's still dry under her rug, I'm going to let it drip dry on her for a little bit. Isn't that right, Ren? Yes. And now what I'm going to need to do is go back down to the field, because when I check them down there, I always, you know, when I go to the field, just check around them, make sure that nobody's been kicked by another, make sure that everybody's walking sound, and that they're all okay in themselves. But this time of year, when it's raining like this, I always stick a hand under their rug just to see if they're wet underneath. And 4 of them are, so Nika, Yodel, Jaukir and Mabel are wet under their rugs, so I'll bring them in, dry them off and give them a rug change, just purely because if they get wet under the rugs, they can get cold as well, and then they get a chill, which can make them ill. And obviously we don't want that to happen, so I'll go and dry them out. So we got 2 of the soggy ponies in. Got Yodel in the black rug and Mabel in the purple rug. They actually weren't as wet as I thought they'd be underneath there. It was just a little bit where the water sometimes comes in around their chest. But to be honest, I'd rather they just came in and dried and had a rug change anyway, because if it's set in now and it might even be like this for the next few days, then at least they've had a change and they're dry. Isn't that right, ladies? Yes. And they're both very happy to come in. But I feel quite guilty for the others that are still out there. See if we can see them from here, because, yeah, bless them, they all wanted to come in as well. Don't know if we'll be able to see them. Oh yeah, we sort of can. You can see them there huddled around the hay bale. But yeah, luckily, other than Xiaoqi and Nika, everyone else is dry under their rugs. It's just because our rugs now for winter, they're a few seasons old, they've been washed and reproofed, and when they're in them in winter, they're in them 24/7, so they're not quite as waterproof as they once were. And I think as well, that's where with rugs we have learned over the years that quality is much better, because this rug that Renska's wearing, it's an Amigo rug, which is a really good brand, and this must be at least 5 years old now, and because it's a good quality brand, she's still drying to there, whereas due to funds over the last few years we've had to buy some cheaper ones, and they're great in the beginning, but they just don't last quite the same. But hopefully that's where, with all of your support, that she, even like that purple fleece Mabel's wearing, it means that we are more able to buy them the nicer things. But I think that's the thing with equipment, it's nicer and better to have the better quality things, not even for aesthetics or looks, but because they last longer. But also, it's not the end of the world, because do the slightly cheaper rugs we've had to get them do the job? Yes, they do. They just don't last quite as long. So, yeah. Oh, are you itchy? Yes. And I'm also currently wearing a traffic warden coat over my actual traffic cone coat, because as well as it being wet, it's a little bit chilly.
I've just come out of my nice warm office. I'm feeling very guilty that poor Holly's out here looking after all the girls and boys on her own, but she insisted that she wanted to be left alone today. I always struggle with guilt when I'm not out here, but looking down there you can just see the little yellow blob that's Holly, down with those that are still down in the field. She's just gone down to feed the ones that are still out, but you can see how wet the fields are. The forecast was always shocking for today. So that's our orchard, the one right in front. Holly's just at the side there, at the front of the 14 acre. And then over to the right, you can see the barn field where they usually spend their summers. It's proper winter Lake District weather today. But yes, didn't Holly's video earlier make you giggle? It certainly made me laugh, although the thought of me being taxidermy in a museum is not not a pleasant thought. But I've come in here, sorry, I'll just wipe the screen, get the rain off it. Oh, that's not working. And look, Hol's brought in some of the gorgeous boys and girls to keep them out of the dry. Sorry, I'm still not clearing the rain off very well. So there's you pulling very silly faces. There's the favourite girl of Hol's, or sorry, the second favourite girl of Hol's, who she's been working with more. So this is Yodel, so Xiaoqia's sister. And then we've got little Mabel at the back there with those gorgeous Mabel ears. Renska looking sleepy. And my handsome old boy Hiddy Hops in here having a nice dry out for a few hours before he heads back out there. Yodel's still pulling lots of faces. What's up, Yodel? Eh? What's up, Yodel? You got something stuck in your teeth? Have you got something stuck in your teeth? Do you want me to have a look? Let me come in with you and have a look in a sec. But yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice. But I did make the decision that today was going to be just a straightforward looking after the boys and girls day. Because when they get really wet in this weather, if they're working, it just takes them too long to dry out before they go outside. And we don't like to put them out wet, obviously. So yeah, that's a little update from me coming out of my warm office and coming to see how Hol's doing. But hopefully she'll be back up here shortly. And I'll get her into the dry for a nice warm cup of coffee. It's really not a good look, JB, is it? Sorry, that munching sound you can hear in the background is because I've got Hoitzer over my shoulder eating carrots. And as you can see, he's completely covered JB in haylage this morning. Hello, Hoitzer. You're right in my camera. You're right in my camera. I'm going to have to zoom out now. There we go. Did you enjoy those carrots? I think you did.
So I've given her under microphones now because it's too soggy. But basically Yodel and Mabel have dried, so they've gone back out. Mike has come up for a rug change, as is Joukje. Joukje is a bit wet under her rug here, you can see by her shoulder. So I'm just going to towel dry her. Although towel drying Joukje makes her angry. So we'll just have to be careful she doesn't bite me. Because sometimes she tries to do that when she gets angry. I don't know why towel drying angers her. I think it's because of the sensation. She doesn't like it. See, you can see her face now. She knows I'm about to towel dry her. She's planning her next move. Sorry about the horrific focus, but we've got little Sydney here, who's come up for his rug change now. He hasn't come up with his best mate Iceman, because Iceman has a newer turnout on, so he's still dry under there, and he will stay dry. So yeah, Sydney braved it alone. Really proud of little Sydney actually. He's definitely coming along in his confidence, because he's not a naturally brave horse, but I think in time he'll overcome his little fears, one little Sydney step at a time. Yes, he's a very cool dude though, aren't you? You know, I just had a heart-to-heart with Sydney actually, and I told him that there is no shame in being afraid, and that he will conquer all of his little Sydney fears and fulfill his full infinite potential. Just for the record, some of you might be confused because obviously we don't have a horse called Sydney. This is actually Vibren, otherwise known as Bear. So Vibren is his actual name, and Bear was his nickname because when he first arrived here we had to sort of be quite discreet, so him and Ice were both given a nickname, Ice and Bear. And he's also like a big teddy bear. And then Sydney is what I call him because I just think he is, and he looks like and behaves like a Sydney. He even has eyes like Sid the Sloth out of Ice Age. See? Serious Sid the Sloth vibes. So this is all Sydney. Okay, so it's really going to be extremely windy, but look, my buggy floats. That's made me so happy. I actually quite enjoy splashing around in puddles like the little 5-year-old I am on the inside.